Hello, I won't take a lot of time here, but I'd like to talk about something that happened to me while I worked over at Stella and Chewey, the Annex building. Um, there was a lot of infighting between Q&A, the supervisor, and the plant manager. But as far as I was concerned, Q&A was always in the right because there were a lot of GMP violations committed by, you know, plant manager and the supervisor who ran the bake line and the APEC room. To make a long story short, I worked for Stella and Chewey through a staffing agency called Service for Staffing. I was a week away from being hired from the company. And they were pleased with my work because I did everything that was asked of me. It became a problem when one day we have to come in at 5 in the morning. We have to go to the bake line and help the supervisor and the others put that bake line together. And the thing is that it's always rush, 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 rush. It's always a pressure. And that morning, I felt the pressure again. So once we're finished there, I have to go to my operating room, which is the APEC room. And sometimes my other coworker was not there when he had his day off, which was the regular coworker of mine. So we're feeling this pressure to put the machine together, and they give me 20 minutes to put an APEC room together, which is not normal. But usually the floor is wet from third shift. There's a lot of drains being open. I put my foot through there sometimes, nearly, fell, broke my neck and whatnot. I did report these things to Q&A, took pictures, and they made note of it. They were always on top of their thing when it comes to Q&A. But that morning, it was Sunday, June 26th, I believe. I went to put the APEC room together, and must have been somebody between second and third shift that left a tool within the mixer screws. So in order to avoid the machine being damaged or production being slowed down and stopped, I reached for it to take it out, only to have a 180-pound to 250-pound piece of steel pinch my arm, which was right here. I immediately, reported this. I asked one of the lead workers who was in the packaging department if she can spare someone to help me because of what happened to me. She asked me if I reported it, and I advised her that Francisco advised me to, write a report after I was done with my shift. I did so, finished my shift, did my work. As much pain as I was in, I did my work. I produced the number, and I ran both sides of APEC 1 and APEC 2. I found my report, turned it in, went to work the next day, and this was a Monday. On Tuesday, I went to work again. Usually they don't let temp workers drive a forklift, but I was trained for it. I took the test, I passed it, and because I was always pushing manually 900 to 80 pounds to over 1,100 pounds of combos full of food, which wore my body out. And then I was given a ScanGun RF number as well. They don't allow temp workers to do that, but because I was doing good at my job, and I was good at my job, and I was about a week away from getting hired, this was allowed. I was a devoted worker of Stella and Chewey. Despite all the pressure, despite all the hurry-ups, despite all the things that just did not, or that I didn't agree with, I kept my mouth shut. I did my work. Tuesday came around, June 28th, 2022, and I asked my supervisor, James, at the Annex building, for help. He asked me, what do you mean? What do you need help for? I said, look, my arm is not 100%. I'm still in a lot of pain. He asked me what happened. I said, I turned in the report. I went to the hospital. I have a muscle contusion on my arm from that piece of steel that dropped into my arm, that pinched my arm. And he simply walked away. I had no help that day. So I worked through the pain. I drove the forklift. I did everything. I put the machine together. I did it. And I worked the full shift that day. After my shift was over, I was driving home. I was on the highway. I got a phone call, and I was told that my supervisor, James, that they no longer needed my services because I was a liability to the company. I said, what do you mean? They said, well, we got an email from your supervisor, James Blair, that you're doing the wrong things. You're putting in the wrong ingredients. I said, that's not true. I said, if I was doing so much wrong things at that job, why would I last almost 3 months, which I'm a week away from being hired? Why would they train me on a forklift, and why would they give me an RF scan number to make labels? That's how good of a job I was doing. Plus, when we had new workers, they were sent to me to be trained. To make a long story short, after I was fired on a bogus reason and lies, let's just be straightforward with it. It was a lie. I went to HR, Mr. Cervantes. I told him my side of the story. No help there at all. I was out of work for over a month. My arm hurt. Had to go to the hospital again. And I still have, some pains and whatnot. But I'm still able to work because one thing about me is that the greatest value that I can bring to a company is that I am devoted, I am reliable, and I am dependable. And they cannot say anything else about me. I've never been terminated from a job. Never in my life. So this was a shock to me. The temp agency will not help me. They just simply turned their back on me. When I went to HR, Stella and Chewey, they simply could not help me. They said they could not touch me. And I told them, look, I was a week away from being hired. You heard nothing but good reports about me from the general plant manager over at the Annex building, Andy. And they said, well, we can't hire you because we're under contract with the staffing agency. So this is something that has not only happened to me. It seemed like every time something happens to someone, where they become injured or something happens, they're terminated. There were a lot of mistakes and stuff being done by the supervisor and the plant manager that were causing these injuries, always rushing us. The way they would speak to us. A lot of employees quit because they were being disrespected, being yelled at, cursed out, being called dumb, being called stupid, being called a child, crybaby, and I have proof of that. The proof is within the employees. You can question the employees yourself. So that's all I wanted to say.